Now here, excuse me, Robert Kiyosaki talks about his book, The Prophecy, and how it was wrong and right, and it was even bigger than he thought. Uh, Here goes.
Nor did I see the shutting down the whole damn world economy. So the crash is bigger than I thought. So in March of 2020 was the biggest crash in world history of the stock market, but nobody knows anything about it because everybody's quarantined at home thinking about coronavirus and social distancing and wearing face masks. So people are missing out on one of the biggest catastrophic cash heists in the history of the world. They don't even know what's happening. Now, the good news is, it's the good news and the bad news about money. I'm going to make a fortune. This is the best. This is the best time if you're ready for it. So I want you guys who are sitting at home, licking your wounds and wondering when you're going to go back to work and so you can get your lattes and cappuccinos and pizzas. Just know you might be missing one of the biggest opportunities in the history of the world because our governments have really screwed up.
Now, are they screwed up or are they purposely covering their butts with what they're doing with the shadow banking and the collapse of the economies and financial markets? Now, I don't know about the shadow banking, but I do know that historically, always, the media portrays one thing and something else is happening on the backside of it. Always. They're always two-faced. There's always one game being portrayed up front, while something happens behind the scenes. Always. This is always the way political governments work.
And I won't talk about conspiracy, but something's fishy about this corona crisis. There's something very fit. Why did they have to shut down the whole damn world? And I think it's because they're covering up something very, very big. And in September 2019, the shadow banking system collapsed. And that's why the Fed and the Treasury are printing tens of trillions of dollars.
Now, I don't know about the shadow banking system, but I know that there are levels of banking systems going on, levels of investments going on, and what they portray up front is not what goes behind the scenes. That's always the case in these investment institutions. The insiders always have the upper hand on anybody else. Always. They say it's illegal, but you know that they're getting away with it.
All over the world. So when Corona appeared, I think it was an excuse to shut down the world economy to cover up what really happened. Now, again, this is the Rich Dad Radio Show. It's the good news and bad news about money. I'm getting sexually stimulated thinking about how much money I'm going to make. But if you're feeling bad, this is your program. If you're worried about what's going to happen to moi, this is your program. So we're here to save your soul and your checkbook. And our guest today is an old friend of ours, Jeff Wang. He's the expert on crypto, and I love crypto. I don't have any. I have a little bit, but the reason I like crypto is for one reason. It's outside the system. It doesn't depend on the Fed, the Federal Reserve Bank, or the Treasury, or Wall Street. Now, you like Wall Street. You believe in investing for the long term in the stock market for your retirement. I'll take laps around the rosary beads tonight. You're screwed. I mean, you're really screwed up if you think you're going to retire on that. I don't care how young you are. So anyway, we have Jeff Wang, and he's going to talk about crypto, the good, the bad, the ugly of crypto. So Jeff is in San Francisco right now. So Jeff, welcome to the program. Please give us a little bit of your background.
So I'm a technologist from a bunch of big tech companies. I recently joined a startup that we just raised $24 million called Tonkin. But I've been involved in crypto for quite a while now. And we started as an investment group and just getting into the whole craze. But then we found out we had to mobilize. We actually had to create a whole group up. We call ourselves rocketfuel.team. And actually our deals started from just like a couple thousand each initially to millions of dollars after we started piling on the profits over and over again. So we got really into the space. We know everything from the good and the bad of the space. But really, for me, my philosophy is to be a technologist first and then go from a VC investor mindset as to what's happening in the future So we can go by year play if we want later. But overall, I feel like that's how we got into the space, and that's why we're still writing about the space, because it's constantly evolving and it grows increasingly more complex.
Correct. So could you explain how Bitcoin is separate from the Fed, the Treasury, and Wall Street? That's the reason I endorsed it. I don't trust those guys. If you trust them, buy mutual funds, right?
So first thing to realize is Bitcoin is a digital currency, which is kind of strange, because if me and you wanted to make a digital currency, what does that even mean, right? Do you control some ledger, some Excel sheet that has how much we both have? So Bitcoin came out around using this blockchain technology so that both of us actually control the same ledger. The same source of record is controlled by both of us. And later on, that ledger grew to thousands and thousands of other operators. And all Bitcoin is a history of the transactions from different keys. So as long as I have a 64-digit key, that stores money. And I could use that key to send you money, and you could use your key and send other people money. Nobody controls it. Nobody can just stop it, right? I can just ban Bitcoin. There's no way you can ban Bitcoin. So it's floating out there across borders. There's no borders for Bitcoin, but it's being traded for other assets. It's actually the biggest asset to trade into other cryptocurrencies. So when we say that it cannot be governed or there's no policy around Bitcoin, there's just simply no way to control it.
Well, so my point here is this, okay? As the governments right now all over the world are printing literally trillions of dollars, and they're trying to pay off debt that's denominated in dollars. So that means the U.S. dollar gets stronger because they need dollars to pay off the debt. And when you heard that they were printing trillions of dollars, as a Bitcoin person, what goes through your mind? Is that good or bad for you?
If you are heavy in Bitcoin, it is good for you, because Bitcoin has been inversely correlated with the dollar in terms of the dollar compared to the other basket of currencies. So if the dollar crashes or goes bad, Bitcoin is going to go up historically. That's just how it's happened. Bitcoin has also been tied to other assets, but only in various times. To get just a brief summary, Bitcoin was pretty much tied to the S&P 500 for a little bit. And then as the oil crashed in March, I believe, everything got liquidated. So Bitcoin is considered a risky asset because it is volatile. And then it was not shielded away from all the capital being taken out of the markets. So I just want to make sure that people realize it's not really correlated with any asset. I'd say it's like a hedge or actually insurance to any other assets that you're holding.
A growing chorus of Wall Street
The term I use, you see my last tweet, I talk about, I don't consider Bitcoin, gold, or silver investments. I consider them insurance policies against the idiots running the Fed, the Treasury, and Wall Street. And they're a bunch of criminals as far as I'm concerned, because they're printing trillions of dollars at the same time causing billions of people to go unemployed. Are you nuts? Are you nuts? I mean, I can't, this is like heaven. But I know for people sitting at home, they're going, oh, I've lost my job. I can't pay my mortgage. And I understand, you can't pay the car payments and all this. But the name of this program is the Rich Dad Radio Show, the good news and bad news about money. So if you're sitting at home contemplating your navel saying, well, can I get my cocktailing job back? Or, what restaurant am I going to work for next? I think you missed the biggest opportunity in world history. That's my point of view. So as a crypto guy, what would you say to somebody who thinks this is a bad time? Why is it a good time for you guys?
Well, we actually analyze not every cryptocurrency, the major cryptocurrencies on a milestone basis. So in different month periods, we actually predict kind of what prices each coin is going to go. And over the long run, it gets harder and harder to analyze, obviously. Even with the coronavirus fears and we don't know when people are coming back, it's getting harder to project almost any asset. But if you do have a thesis that the dollar is going to decrease in value compared to other currencies, if you go by that thesis, Bitcoin will eventually, should go up in the long term. Cryptocurrencies as a whole, we can get into that. It's a whole ecosystem out there. Also, it starts benefiting from the decentralization of governments and their policies as well.
Okay, and so today's April 20th, 2020. What's the price of Bitcoin today?
It's about 6,800, I believe.
6,800. Do you consider it high or low?
I consider it at the right price. I'll tell you what our newsletter said. We predicted Bitcoin to be $10,000 by May because of it's a thing called the halvening. That's happening in May. Yeah, the halvening. It's a joke because halvening is not really the word. But the inflation for Bitcoin is going to get cut in half. So based off our newsletter, we have milestone-based, price points. We thought $10,000 by May. So it actually hit $10,000 in February. So we were like, okay, well, here we are. We've reached our point. What happens next? After oil crashed in March, it crashed again today to negatives. But when it crashed in March, all the capital came out of Bitcoin. That was a great opportunity, again, to put your money in. I predict, though, that after the halvening, there will be less mining incentive. So if the inflation is cut, there's less infrastructure to support the system because it's just not going to, be break even.
Okay,
So I do
Jeff,
think, I just want to say Bitcoin is going to go down, I think, in May, is my prediction.
It's going to go down. Well, that's good news.
Yeah, so in May, there will be a correction that is a good place to get in, is my, just my opinion.
Right. That's all this. And by the way, Rich said makes no recommendations.
Now that has happened. That prediction, remember, they're doing this in April. The money, Bitcoin did go down in May. It's struggling to come back up, but it did go down seriously in May. And it was a great time, and many people bought Bitcoin when it went down and are holding it.
We don't say buy this or sell that or do this or do that. We're a purely educational company. So we have our producer here, Sarah, and she doesn't trust you guys. So Sarah, what question do you have to ask?
Jeff, I trust you wholeheartedly. I don't understand. So you have to understand I'm asking these questions out of pure ignorance. So 2 years ago, I know Bitcoin was around 20,000. I want to say like it was around that peak. And I was telling Robert that I don't understand. It's as volatile to me as the stock market. So you really have to play the same kind of game as the stock market. And so I'm not understanding where's this benefit? Where, if I were an investor looking to buy Bitcoin.
Yeah, so I don't think Bitcoin itself as a currency. It's not something that I would go out and spend it. There's just too many problems with the volatility. There's actually very slow transaction speeds. For me, what I look at is the technology itself, how that can be applied to other use cases in the world, which we'll go into, I'm sure, later. And that is where I look. So I don't actually have that much Bitcoin. I actually look at Ethereum. I look at the decentralized finance projects of where Ethereum's going. And there's a lot of startups that are trying to scale blockchain technology as well that I look into also. So as an investor in Bitcoin, I would just put that as a diversification piece. I wouldn't say that's like something to go all in, that I'm going to use it to spend as a global currency. That's not the case.
So you wouldn't invest in it because it's going to go to 100,000.
I do not think it's going to go to 100,000.
I understand that, but you wouldn't use that logic.
No,
that's what people
that's
do.
not the logic.
Yeah, but see, people do that with silver and gold.
Mm-hmm.
People are, like they're calling for $50,000 gold and $20,000 silver, and that sucks a lot of people in.
Yep.
So what would you say to that? So somebody says Bitcoin's going to 100,000. Why would you say that's a bad idea, or you wouldn't touch it?
I can give a few data points as to what happens with the other countries that have currency crashes. They actually fled to Bitcoin as a safe haven because it's one way to get out, right? You could buy Bitcoin, it holds its currency against the USD, and then if their currency goes hyperinflation, they still have some digital asset that can be traded. Although again, it's just on a USB drive or it's on a piece of paper, but at least they can flood to that as a safe haven. With gold and silver, it's actually kind of hard to trade it for some people globally. With Bitcoin, it's 24/7. You can trade it whenever you want. So that's where I say is kind of the difference between gold and silver. In terms of what is backing Bitcoin, mainly it's kind of the trading volume and then the entrance. It's a fiat gateway into other cryptocurrencies.
So I'll let you take over from here because you guys are way over my head. I have some Ethereum. What is Ethereum?
So Ethereum takes blockchain technology and it added a concept called smart contracts. So basically, I could create a smart contract between you and me, Robert. It's just a auditable piece of code that we can send money to. And let's say you're paying me salary, $100 a week for whatever, just be on the phone to call you. So you can just put in $10,000 in this smart contract and it'll automatically pay me. There'll be no bank in between. There's nothing in between at all. Me and you could just operate on this small little piece of code that does any mainstream thing. So people took that concept and they built entire applications on it. So entire applications that can do almost anything. It's a little bit slow right now, so it's not shown any real value in the world yet, but The advancements of Ethereum 2.0, which are coming later this year, are trying to remedy that problem.
Okay. So when we come back, we'll let Jeff continue on.
Well, I'm going to end it here, but I want people to know that watch my videos that Ethereum is trying to solve some problems it has, and with the smart contracts and with the speed and other things. And they are working on this. This is why I'm so pro with Ethereum and Bitcoin, is because there are programmers working on solving these problems. And it's out of the major banks' hands, but there are major investors putting money using Bitcoin and Ethereum and other digital assets into monetary assets. So, for example, Greystone owns about a third of the Bitcoin mining. It's they're buying about 1.5 times what is currently capable of being mined, and they're putting them into other financial assets. So Bitcoin is influencing other financial assets and documents and tools, and so it's going to affect the world money and markets no matter what. No matter what. So you should have some of your digital assets working on that, trading that, using artificial intelligence with that, because even when a friend of mine or associate of mine had Bitcoin up at 20,000 and it went down to 3,000 per coin, even in a down market, he put $10,000 in that. And in 6 months, when it went down to $3,000 from 20,000 to $3,000 in a down market, get this, he made 7 times his original investment, or his 10,000 went to 70,000 in profit in a down market. Now you need to wrap your head around that. No other money tool, money investment vehicle that I know of has been able to do that. But digital trading with artificial intelligence has been able to do that in a down market. No one else has been able to do that I know of. So this is a powerful market. It's not going away. And I believe in time, the other big news they've just announced is that the U.S. government is going to get into their own digital dollar, U.S. digital dollar. They've just announced that. So that tells me that they're getting away from the fiat coins and they're getting into a digital U.S. dollar. What's that going to do? No one knows for sure yet. But I think they know that the dollar is just about done for. They're printing all this money like crazy worldwide. And I believe you're going to see in my opinion, my unprofessional opinion, I think you're going to see the digital dollar take over the fiat dollar. And the fiat dollar, as we know it, I think is going to die or not be is going to be refused as a worldwide financial vehicle. I think they're going to go to a worldwide digital vehicle. And it's going to be either Ethereum or Bitcoin or a combination of several digital currencies. But that combination, when they get that worked out, whether it be Ethereum or Bitcoin, is going to change everything that we currently know. And I think these world banks, as we know them, are going to have to get out of the fiat system that they're in. If that happens, and that's a big if, everything that we know about the financial markets currently is going to change. It is currently changing now, but it is going to, in my opinion, change even more in the near, I would say, 3 to 4 years max. It may take a little longer, it may take a little less, depending on the markets and what they're doing. But currently what they're doing with the printing of money and with these shadow banking and with these world banks is not working, and it looks like they're trying to collapse the world markets as they exist. And Robert Kiyosaki is saying the shadow bank has already collapsed in last year, in September of last year. Now, if he's correct, there's a big push going on to get into digital markets, a big push. We're talking millions and trillions of dollars. One way or another is going to be pushed into digital assets to protect their so-called monies. But we'll see if that happens. How gold is going to play on this? The problem with gold, even gold, is going to have to be digitalized. So they'll have some physical asset or value on gold, world gold, but it's going to have to be traded and used digitally. See, that's the other value of digital currencies, is you can tie one other physical asset, even real estate, to it, and have a physical asset tied to a digital asset and trade monies for that digital asset, even though it's tied to some physical asset and value. This is the other earth-shaking, financial shaking connection with this. And so it's not going away. These digital connections with physical assets, they're not going away because they are tradable, usable, spendable, exchangeable, where the physical asset itself is not exactly. See, it's the same thing with the dollar. You can't physically trade real estate, but you can use the dollar value of that real estate and trade it. And so this is what the digital assets are doing as well. And this is why they're valuable. And this is why they have money and value tied to them, because they can trade that digitally and create some type of value to that physical asset and trade it monetarily. And this is life changing. This is earth changing. This is financial market changing. And all the market money experts know this. And one way or another, they're tying assets into Bitcoin. Bitcoin currently, I think, as they said, is 80% of the market or better in the digital asset values that they're connected to. So Bitcoin has got too many things, too many financial instruments and assets tied to it, not to go away. Again, this is Roger Martin from Billings, Montana. Pay attention to what they're doing, the big boys are doing with the regulations and with Bitcoin and with Ethereum. They are not going away. Those two are the big two dogs, and they're not going away. There's too many assets tied to these digital currencies. Goodness, Roger Martin from Billings, Montana.